As an older man, living alone can be one of the most enriching experiences of your life. It's not just about the peace and quiet. It's about carving out a space that's entirely your own, where you can focus on your passions, grow as an individual, and truly enjoy the freedom that comes with this stage of life. I've spent a significant part of my life alone, and the wisdom I've gathered is something I hold dear today. I'm not just sharing a list of benefits, but diving deeper into the emotional and practical advantages of living solo, inspired by what many others like you and me are saying on online communities and forums. So whether you're already living alone or considering it, stick around. This journey could be the most fulfilling chapter of your life. Number 1, freedom to be. Freedom to be yourself. One of the greatest joys of living alone as an older man is the complete freedom it offers when you live by yourself. You get to decide what your day looks like, from the moment you wake up to the time you go to bed. There's no need to compromise or adjust your preferences to suit anyone else's schedule or desires. I remember when I first started living alone, the sheer pleasure of not having to conform to anyone else's schedule was liberating. There's something incredibly satisfying about waking up when you want to, making breakfast just the way you like it, and spending the morning reading or working on a hobby without interruption. Take, for example, a man in his early 60s who shared how living alone allowed him to rediscover his love for painting without anyone else around. He set up a small art studio in his living room where he could paint late into the night without worrying about disturbing anyone. He talked about how his nights became his most creative and productive time, something he could never have achieved in a shared living space. For me, it's the freedom to explore your hobbies and passions, no matter how unconventional, that makes living alone so peace and quiet, fulfilling. 2. Peace and quiet. The tranquility that comes with living alone is often mentioned as one of the top benefits after years of raising a family, working and juggling multiple responsibilities. Many older men cherish the peace and quiet that solo living offers. It's a chance to reflect, meditate, or simply enjoy the stillness without the distractions of a bustling household. I vividly remember the first time I experienced the profound silence of living alone. It was an early Sunday morning, the kind where the world outside still fell asleep. I made myself a cup of coffee and sat by the window listening to nothing but the birds chirping and the soft rustle of leaves. It was at that moment that I felt an overwhelming sense of peace. A kind of peace that only comes when there's no one else around demanding your attention. Imagine having a morning routine where you sip your coffee in silence, perhaps on a balcony overlooking your garden, without the hum of conversation or the rush to get things done. This calm space becomes a sanctuary for your thoughts, allowing you to think more clearly, connect with yourself on a deeper level, and appreciate the simple pleasures in life. 3. Personal growth and personal growth. Self-discovery. Living alone as an older man is an incredible opportunity for personal growth. When you're on your own, you have the time and space to reflect on your life, your choices, and your future. It's a time for self-discovery, where you can figure out who you really are and what you want out of life. I recall a particular period in my life when I found myself at a crossroads. The noise of daily life had drowned out my inner voice for so long that I didn't even know what I truly wanted anymore. But when I started living alone, something shifted. The quiet evenings and solitary weekends became fertile ground for introspection. I began journaling, something I hadn't done since I was a young man, and in those pages I started to reconnect with the dreams and passions I'd put aside. One man I came across on a forum shared his story of how living alone in his late 50s allowed him to reconnect with himself after a long career and the end of a marriage. He moved into a small cabin by the lake. There he started journaling, reading philosophy, and even picked up meditation. He described how the solitude helped him to strip away the layers of societal expectations and reconnect with his true self. It's this kind of personal growth that can be truly transformative. 4. Control over your environment. Living alone means you have full control over your environment, whether it's keeping your space meticulously clean or embracing a more relaxed, cluttered style. The choice is entirely yours. You can arrange your furniture, decorate your space, and organize your belongings exactly how you like them, creating a living space that feels uniquely you. I have a dear friend who, after his divorce, moved into a quaint little house in the countryside. He was an avid collector of vintage cameras, something his wife never quite understood. But now, living alone, he transformed one of the spare rooms into a gallery for his collection. He shared with me how walking into that room every morning filled him with pride and joy. It was a space that was entirely his own, reflecting his passion and personality. Without compromise, an older gentleman also shared how after his children moved out, he transformed his home into a reflection of his personality and tastes. He filled his space with antiques, family heirlooms and bookshelves stacked with his favorite reads. His home became a gallery of his life's journey, and this ability to curate his environment brought him immense financial independence. Joy. 5. Financial independence while living alone might seem more expensive. At first glance, many older men find that it actually supports their financial independence without the need to support others. You have full control over your finances. You can choose to downsize, move to a more affordable area, or simply manage your budget in a way that prioritizes your needs and desires. I recall a conversation I had with an old colleague who, after retiring, decided to sell his large family home and move into a cozy apartment downtown. At first he was worried about the costs of living alone, but soon he realized that the reduced expenses allowed him to live comfortably and even indulge in some of his passions. He no longer had to worry about maintaining a large house, and the extra savings meant he could take up photography, something he had always wanted to do, but never had the time or resources for. One story from a forum that stood out for me was from a retiree who chose to downsize to a smaller home. He shared how this decision not only reduced his living expenses, but also freed up money for travel and other experiences he had always dreamed of. He spent his 70th birthday on a solo trip to Europe, something he said wouldn't have been possible if he was still maintaining a larger, improved mental health household. 6. Improved mental health. Living alone as an older man can have a positive impact on your mental health. For many, solitude is a source of healing. It's an opportunity to step away from the stresses and expectations of social life and find peace within oneself. Whether it's through meditation, exercise, or simply enjoying your own company, living alone allows you to focus on what truly makes you happy. I remember a particularly tough time in my life when everything seemed overwhelming. It was during these moments that I truly appreciated the solitude of living alone. I would take long walks in the evening just to clear my mind and reconnect with nature. The quiet of my home became a place of refuge, where I could process my thoughts and emotions without any external pressure. I also came across a heartfelt post from a man in his late 60s on Reddit, who talked about how living alone helped him manage his anxiety without the constant noise and demands of others. He was able to develop a routine that prioritized his mental health. He practiced yoga in his living room, took long walks in nature, and learned to enjoy his own company. The peace he found in solitude was something he never experienced. Strengthen relationships. 7. Strengthened relationships. Interestingly, living alone can actually improve your relationships with others. When you're not constantly surrounded by people, the interactions you do have become more meaningful. You learn to value your time with loved ones more and make the most out of every interaction. I noticed this in my own life. Once I started living alone, I found that my relationships with friends and family became more intentional instead of seeing them out of obligation. I genuinely looked forward to our time together. The conversations became deeper, more heartfelt, and I cherished those moments much more than before. A touching example comes from a man who, after living alone for a few years, shared that his relationships with his children had improved. Instead of the tension that sometimes arose from living under the same roof, their visits became more intentional and loving. He found that he looked forward to their time together much more, and they in turn appreciated the relaxed, welcoming atmosphere of his home. 8. Independence and confidence. Confidence, living alone as an older man, fosters a sense of independence and confidence. You become the master of your own life, making decisions and handling challenges on your own terms. This autonomy can be incredibly empowering, especially as you age. I can still recall the first time I had to fix something around the house by myself. It was a leaky faucet, something I had always relied on others to take care of. But there I was, alone with no one to call on. I took a deep breath, watched a few tutorials online and got to work. The satisfaction I felt when I finally fixed it was indescribable. It wasn't just about the faucet, it was about proving to myself that I could handle whatever came my way. One man in his 70s shared on a forum how living alone gave him a renewed sense of confidence. After his wife passed away, he was initially unsure about living alone, but over time he learned how to manage the household, cook his own meals, and even take care of small repairs. This newfound independence gave him a sense of pride and accomplishment that he hadn't felt in years. 9. Rediscovery of simple pleasures. Rediscovery of simple pleasures. Living alone gives you the chance to rediscover the simple pleasures in life without the distractions of others. You can truly savor the things that bring you joy. Whether it's reading a good book, gardening, or simply enjoying a cup of tea while watching the sunset. I've always been a morning person, but it wasn't until I started living alone that I truly began to appreciate the quiet beauty of early mornings. I started a small garden in my backyard, something I had always wanted to do but never found the time for. Now my mornings are spent tending to my plants, sipping my tea, and enjoying the first rays of sunlight. It's a simple routine, but it brings me immense joy and fulfillment. I came across an online video where an older man shared his daily routine of tending to his garden. Living alone allowed him to spend hours each day cultivating his plants, something he described as deeply fulfilling. He talked about the joy of watching his garden grow and the satisfaction of knowing that he had created this little oasis of beauty in his life. Living alone as an older man is not just about solitude. It's about embracing a lifestyle that offers peace, freedom, and personal growth. It's an opportunity to rediscover who you are, pursue your passions, and create a life that is truly your own. Whether it's the peace and quiet, the financial independence, or the chance to grow and reflect, living alone can be one of the most fulfilling choices you'll ever make if you're considering it. Know that you're not alone in your thoughts. Many have walked this path and found it to be a deeply reward-bowing journey. Take the leap, and you might just find that living alone is the key to unlocking the most meaningful and enriching chapter of your life. Feel free to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing if you found the video helpful. Thank you for watching.